What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and what a good day. What a good day. Really, really good day. Let's talk about it. So, Chelsea versus Leicester at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. We already faced off against them once. I think it was at the King Power Stadium, though. It was in the Football League Cup, and we ended up winning that day in overtime, 4-2. So going into this one, wasn't really sure what to expect. Coming off the international break as well, so that had some stuff that could possibly go wrong. So looking at the lineup, I'm thinking interesting, but I have some problems with it. So you got Courtois in goal, of course. He goes for a 3-4-3, or if you want, a 5-3-2. It was pretty much, you got three defenders, but you got two wingbacks. So they can get up, but they also come back and help out. You've got Matic and Conte in the middle, and then you've got Pedro and Hazard in behind Costa. As almost like, I want to say it's like you've got two withdrawn forwards, and then one target man up top in Costa. It's really hard to tell exactly what it is, but I think that kind of works to their advantage because Pedro and Hazard have the ability to go wherever they need to go. They're not confined to the wing. They're not confined to the center. They just move around the entire time. And when they did this against Hull as well, and in that game it worked out because Hazard and Willian just moved around the entire field, and Hull had a difficult time tracking them. So I really do like this formation, but the players in there are kind of what bother me. So in defense, you've got Cahill still, even though Terry is back, and I understand you want to rest him. That's fine, but it still feels like you've got better options to put back there than Cahill. Like, I don't understand why he's still getting all this playing time. You know, like you look at the past few games, he's been awful. Even with England against Slovenia, against Malta, in the UEFA World Cup qualifiers, he was awful in those games as well. He wasn't like as bad as he has been at Chelsea, but he's still really not good enough. So you got to wonder why nothing's happening. And it's not even the fact that he's playing poorly and getting playing time. It goes beyond that. There are mistakes that he's making that I can clearly see he's making this mistake. He's making this mistake. A lot of it is his distribution in this game. You know, he didn't really have to do a whole lot defensively, so he was helped out by that fact. You know, if they didn't get the chance to really expose him and how poor he is at defending. So a lot of what he had to do was distribute the ball, moving the ball around. And he does it so poorly. He dwells on the ball too long. He tries that diagonal that John Terry can do perfectly over half the time. He can't do it. And so it's always a poor ball that it's pretty much a giveaway to the other team. And the thing is, I remember two in the first half that were right in front of the bench. And so all I'm thinking is, if I'm Conte and I see him try that diagonal that he's done for the past three game weeks, I've seen him do that, and it hasn't been working out. It's just been a giveaway. It's been a sloppy ball. I'm telling him stop. You know, you're already on thin ice with how poor you've been defending. You've already given away a couple games because of terrible mistakes. If I'm Conte, I'm saying, look, you do what I tell you to do, or you will not even see the bench. You'll be in the reserves. And I don't know if that's just Conte. You know, we see that he's willing to kind of be that hard-ass coach that's not going to take any crap. You know, he does it later with Costa. Costa looks like wants to be subbed out or something. And so he's yelling at Conte, trying to say, hey, sub me out. And Conte's just like, no. So we see that he's not willing to give in to players' demands. He's cutting out this whole players have any say in the dressing room type thing, which is pretty much what the biggest problem with last year was player power was much too high. So you got to wonder, why isn't Cahill being punished for his mistakes on the field? Why is he being rewarded with more game time? Why isn't anybody saying anything about this? Like, that's my one problem that I had with today is Cahill. Why is he still out there? Why is he still making the same exact mistakes that I see him make forever now? It's kind of frustrating. Aside from that, though, David Luiz and Aspilicueta back there with Cahill. I think David Luiz. I'll talk about individual performance in a second. Conte and Matic in the midfield in that center role, I don't mind. Fabregas was actually not available today, so I don't mind the fact that he wasn't in there because he wasn't even available. I was asking the question, like, why isn't he in there? And then later on found out, oh, he's not even on the bench. Okay. But they did, that partnership is an interesting one. I'll talk about that more in a second. Yeah, Alonso and Moses out wide. Alonso I like because he's a defender, but he's still getting that defensive roll down. Like you can see, at times he's a good defender. He stands his ground well, but then at other times he's getting caught out of position. So I don't mind the fact that he's a bit more of a wing back, which means the defensive part is there, but it's kind of half of his job. The other half is getting forward, and he does that well. Moses, I think, is perfectly suited to be a wing back. I think we finally found out he's not a center mid, he's not a striker, he's not a wing, he is a wing back. He plays the role so well. They named him man of the match. I think he deserved it. I mean, he played really well in that position. He gets up really well, he gets back really well. He has the speed and the fitness to do it. I don't know why nobody's tried this with him before, but apparently it's working out for him now. Hazard and Pedro, obviously with Williams' mom, dying of cancer, I understand him not being here. You have to play Pedro there because we don't really have many options. It's disappointing because I really don't like Pedro as a player. Nothing wrong with him. It's just as a player, I'm watching, and it feels like every time he does something right, it's immediately followed by he does something wrong. It's just not a good thing whenever he's on the field. I feel like he's kind of a non-factor. For every good thing he does, there's something bad that he does, so it kind of cancels out to where he's just sort of a player out there wasting a position at times. And then, of course, Costa up top because it's Costa. He's a beast. So let's talk about individual performances, though. Because, like I said, that lineup, while frustrating that Cahill's in and not Terry, I understand it. So, good choice from Conte. I like the formation. I like the fact that he's changing things up, and it's working out for him. Individually, I think everybody except for maybe Cahill and Pedro had a good game. Courtois didn't really have a whole lot to do, but when he did, he was big, he was there, he put himself in good positions. Cahill, already talked about him. David Luiz, I don't know what, sometimes I call him David Luiz, sometimes I call him David Luiz. I'm weird like that. I thought he actually played well today. I mean, didn't have a whole lot of defending to do, and I think that's one of the weaknesses in his game is that he's not disciplined as a defender. But getting forward is one of the things he does very well. So they were really, Leicester was pushed back for a lot of this game, so it gave David Luiz the chance to really push forward and get in the attack a lot more. But when he was called upon defensively, I thought he did fairly well there, better than he normally does. He wasn't getting pulled out of position as much. It felt like he was rooted a bit more as a defender. So, it was kind of interesting to see that he wasn't as undisciplined as he normally is. I don't know if that's just because it was so easy to play this game. Whatever the case, I thought he had a good game. Aspilicueta, I thought, was fighting so hard. As much attack as we had, I thought Aspilicueta was almost man of the match because of how little attack Leicester had. And most of that was because of him. I mean, you watch in the first half, so many times the ball's being played out. There's Aspilicueta. Oh, Musa or Vardy has the ball? There's Aspilicueta. The ball's about to get over top? Nope, there's Aspilicueta. It felt like there was no getting past him. I can't think of one time in the first half that he got beat. There were a couple times in the second half when they were scrambling a bit at the beginning of the half that he did. But for pretty much the entire first half, he was a solid foundation in the defense. There was no getting past him. And I think that is what really set the tone. It allowed for us to constantly just keep pushing, keep attacking. It was incredible to watch him defend. The wingbacks, I thought Alonso had a fairly good game. Nothing spectacular, but I thought he did well to get up in the attack and also to get back. But like I said, defensively, he's still getting pulled out of position a couple times. Sometimes not putting in a strong enough challenge whenever he should be stepping in to win it. He's kind of standing off a little bit and giving them some time to work the ball around. So, against Leicester, when you're 2-0 up, that's not really something that's going to affect you as much. But against better teams, if you don't step quickly, I mean, you look at the teams like Arsenal, like Man City, they have players that can play quickly. So if you're not stepping to them quickly, they're going to move the ball around you and find a goal. So that's just it's a minor critique, but it's something that he needs to get into his game to be a more effective wingback. Moses on the other side, like I said, earned himself man of the match. He got up quickly, he defended well. In fact, there were a couple times where it felt like Leicester had a chance to break, and Moses was stepping in to win the ball and kind of restart the attack that we were on. So I thought it was an amazing performance from him. I think he's fully deserved the ability to start games now. That was kind of one of the questions going into this was, would he be able to get himself a starting spot? Because it looked like he was going to be fighting Hazard and Willian for a spot. And it's like, chances are you're not going to beat them out of it. Even if you play really well, they're still extreme quality. So the fact that now Conte has gone to this wing-back system and put Hazard and Willian more in behind the striker, that gives Moses the chance to show what he can do, and he's showing what he can do. He's earning himself the starting spot, and I really like the fact that he's getting that chance to do it. Into the midfield, Conte and Matic, I thought they worked really well together today. Matic maybe not as effective overall. He put in some good challenges. There were times when he used his body well to keep possession. But I think of the two, Conte is the one that got forward more. He was more involved in the attack. He was more clinical with his passing. I think of the two, even though they both played well, Conte did more that you could actually see. It was kind of like you look in the defense, you don't really see Azpilicueta, but he's a constant. He has been called one of the most underrated players at Chelsea, and I have to agree because a lot of the times you don't even know he's there, but he's putting in that challenge that stops the attack. And Conte did the same thing last year for Leicester. He was that one that stepped into the midfield, won the ball, stopped the counterattack. But nobody was really talking about him because Vardy was scoring, because Mahrez was scoring and assisting. So I think of the two, not necessarily Matic had a poor game. I just think that what he did was not as visible to see. It was a bit more underrated. It was a bit more, there's Matic stepping in to win the ball. Not really something you're going to be talking about, whereas Conte, he was driving at players. He was getting forward in the attack. He was playing great balls. So, it's hard to really judge the two, but I would say both of them did play well. It's a partnership that I think can flourish because you look at our midfield options. You've got Conte, Matic, Fabregas, and Oscar, and then Chalobah too, if you want to put him in there. So you look at those four options, you don't really have, you've got Matic and Fabregas who like to sit back a bit more, and then Conte who can go back and forth. It's been a bit more Matic trying to go back and forth, and I don't think that's the type of player he is. I think that's what Conte wants him to be, but I don't think he is. So to see Conte now, N'Golo Conte, becoming that player, the get up and get back, I think he has the stamina to do it. I think he's got the pace to do it. I think it really works out in this system. So that's what I'm trying to say, long story short. They both played well, but I think Conte is the one that everybody's going to notice more, even though Matic is doing his job, just because Conte is actually producing more on the other side of the field. Up to Hazard and Pedro, I think Hazard had a good game today, got himself a goal. Pedro, like I said, I feel like for every good thing he does, it's followed up by something that just makes me shake my head. Like, why? Not necessarily a huge mistake that costs us the game, but it's still, he'll have this great little run, he'll weave in and out of defenders, and then pass the ball right to the defense. Poor pass. Or he'll weave in and out of defenders, he's got somebody back post, he tries to have a shot and completely misses. So I really have nothing against Pedro. I just don't like him as a player because of that fact, because of the fact that he can produce stuff, but the problem is he doesn't because he's too busy. He's either selfish or he plays a poor pass. It's always something with him. It's always something that feels like it could have been, but then it wasn't because it's Pedro. So of the two, Hazard obviously was the better. I fully expect Willian, as soon as he returns, to get back in that position. I also wonder if possibly Oscar could play up there because he was tried out as a wing last year when Hiddink came in. Didn't work out because he's not a wing player. But he is that in behind the striker player, so I could see Hazard, Willian, or Oscar in those two positions. So it'd be interesting to see if whenever Oscar and Willian return, who will get that spot. If Oscar will be played there, or if Conte will continue to use him as a center mid. That'll be interesting to see. And of course, Costa up top played well. Uh, like like I said earlier, there was a little bit of a rift between him and Conte at one point. I don't know what happened. It looked like he wanted Conte to sub him off, and then didn't get the sub or something. Like I don't know what it was. People are still speculating about it. I'm sure at some point somebody will like read his lips and see what he was saying. But for now, don't know what it was about. But for whatever reason, there was a little bit of a rift. But I don't, from what I can tell, it didn't seem like it affected him too much. It seemed like just in that moment he was upset about not getting a sub. But he played well, got himself a goal off of some good movement in the box. Of course, Morgan's mistake, but it is good to see that he's getting that movement. He's not even just that. It's also his movement in the flow of play. He's moving well as a striker. He's not always been that striker that moves around. Batshuayi, I think, is a man who he can move very, very well. Costa's been more of a played into my feet, I'm going to turn the defender. But today, he did really well in moving around, opening up spaces for other people. It really worked out well, especially when you've got Hazard playing in behind him. That opens up space for Hazard to go and do stuff as well. So, really good overall performance from the starting 11, aside from those two that I talked about. And then you get to the subs, and I thought, good substitutions. You got Chalobah coming in with plenty of time to make an impact on the game. He's also a bit more defensive, so it kind of shuts down that side of it as well. And at that point, it almost went into kind of a 3-5-1-1, in that you had 3 defenders, you had the 2 wingbacks, and it was almost like Matic, Conte, and Chalobah were all sitting in the midfield with Hazard and Costa kind of playing up top together. But Chalobah comes in. I thought he did really, really well. The assist was beautiful. I was giggling like a little kid after that. It was absolutely just inch perfect back heel, straight into Moses' path. Moses plays it into the goal. I mean, just easy as you like. It was amazing. But then on top of that, he put good pressure defensively. He did okay. There was the one that stuck out to me the most, of course, the one mistake he makes. Drinkwater cut him, and he kind of stuck his foot out instead of staying with him, led to a shot. But that was the one thing that I can think of. Other than that, I remember times that he was like stepping in. He is putting pressure so they don't have time to think about what to do. They have to play it quickly. So I like the pressure he puts. He has a lot of energy. I like the fact that he's actually getting good time on the field. It's not just, here, coming for the last minute. I know that happened against, I think, Hull 2 weeks ago, but this was a good amount of time. I think it was about 35 minutes or 25 minutes, maybe less. I don't know. I think it was in like the 70th minute possibly. So it was still a good bit of time to play. It was enough time for him to actually get involved in the game and not just come on, try to find his legs, and now the game's over. The final 2 subs came after the third goal. Loftus-Cheek comes on for Hazard, and then Aina comes on for Moses. I don't mind the changes. I would have liked to see Solanke and Batshuayi were both on the bench. I understand why bring on a striker, but I would like to see them get a chance to actually play. You've got the defense is already tired. Give them a chance to run them even more. Make it more. Make it 4-0 if you can. Because not that I want to crush Leicester's hopes. I do kind of like Leicester because of what they did last year. It was incredible. But at the same time, you want to instill confidence in your players. So to win by 4-0 or 5-0, that's a huge confidence boost. So it would have been nice to see one of them, Batshuayi or Solanke, get on the field, get a chance to try to get a goal. But for what it's worth, I don't mind seeing Aina get some time. Loftus-Cheek is a player I still don't really feel like he has the ability to do it right now. I still wish we could have gotten him out on loan, because I think he's a player that needs time to develop. He's got the physical ability to do it, but the mental ability isn't there yet, and I think the technical ability still needs some work. So I just, if you were going to give me an option to see a youngster out there, and I had the choice between Loftus-Cheek or Solanke, I would have preferred to see Solanke, even if it's as a withdrawn striker. Either way, it's still getting youth on the field, and that's something that I think Mourinho really got wrong in his time at Chelsea. I think he didn't give the youth a chance to play. I think even when games were put away, it's like, okay, get somebody young on the field, and he hardly ever did it. And even if he did, it was like, oh, 5 minutes, go, do whatever you can. That's not enough time to really get them involved in the game. So I think getting the youth involved, really good option for Conte. I think the fact that Chalobah comes in and looks like a part of the first team is an incredible thing, because now you have another midfield option that you can possibly use. So I love that. I love that fact. I love just pretty much everything about the game today. I mean, all three goals were really brilliant. The first one, maybe it was a bit of a defensive error from Wes Morgan, but I mean, it looked. They said the corner was a not well taken corner. I honestly think it looked like it may have been something they were trying to do. It felt like every time Hazard stepped up, he's playing it to the front post to Matic. So I feel like that was the plan. He played it to Matic. Matic flicks it on back post, and Morgan got caught sleeping. Costa's there to finish. Second one, a little bit of fortune there too as well. With Pedro kicks it, bounces off Hazard's head right into his path. But at the same time, Hazard does extremely well to take it past Schmeichel and put it in. And then the last one was just a thing of beauty. I mean, if you did not see the goal, if you for some reason are watching this review and did not see the game, I suggest you go watch that third goal, because it makes me think of 2 seasons ago. One of the first games it may have been the first game of the season. Ball comes into Fabregas, and just a first-time half volley in behind the defense to Schürrle, who just puts it away. That touch was brilliant. Chalobah's touch, or apparently it's Chalobah. I've always called him Chalobah. I don't know why. I think FIFA calls him Chalobah as well. So maybe it's Chalobah. I don't know. Anyway, his little back heel, just absolutely the exact same as Fabregas. It just perfectly weighted. At first it was like, oh, did he try to turn and just accidentally? No, you watch the replay, he actually kind of stamped down on it a little bit and put some backspin, so it was actually perfectly into Moses' path. I was like, how old is he again? Isn't he 21? Holy crap, he is really, he knows what he's doing. So it's wonderful to see him get time. It's wonderful to see him do well in the first team. Overall, I cannot complain. The performance, the entire first half was just dominated by Chelsea. And I can't even think of one chance on goal that they had. They had a couple dangerous crosses late on, but I can't even think of one shot that they had in the first half. Second half, I think they came out a bit more, first of all, Ranieri changed up the formation at halftime and probably got in their ear a little bit. So they came out a lot stronger. I think Chelsea was guilty of a little bit of complacency at the beginning of the second half. Nothing too serious, nothing like, oh, really, you guys suck right now. But they did come out a bit slower. They weren't as quick to get to the balls they were in the first half. And it led to a few really close chances. The most obvious one is the cross in. David Luiz has to deal with it. Gets lucky that it bounces off the post, but at the same time, it's like, it's one of those situations where if it had gone in, it's really hard to blame him, because why is the cross coming in a dangerous situation like that? And even if he doesn't touch it, there's Vardy. Vardy's putting it away. So lucky that it ended up on the post, but I still think it was a good defensive decision from him. But other than that, there were a few half chances, but that was the most dangerous one, was coming off of David Luiz. The rest of it, all Chelsea. Constantly looked a threat. They were moving the ball around with some confidence, with some pace. I really enjoyed watching it. It was a fun game to watch, which hasn't really been Chelsea's thing the past few games. It feels like since the beginning of the season, it feels like it's just been constantly working hard. It's hard for them to play. You see they lack confidence at times. So this has been a lot of fun to watch. It was the most fun I've had all year. watching them play. I can't remember. I think the next game for them is Man U next weekend. I don't think the next. I think the next Football League Cup trophy, whatever. I think the next Cup game is the next midweek after the Man U game, West Ham away. So looking forward to the Man U game though. It's going to be a crazy intense one. See Mourinho again. That would be interesting. But we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you guys think of this game? What did you think of the players, performances, all that stuff? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea game reviews, and I'll see you at the next game. Peace out.